I recently did a video called Dealing with Office Politics. Down in the notes, the comments section, someone asked me, Sonia Nesbeth specifically, "Thanks, we need next video on how to deal with different personalities without compromising our own values." So thank you, Sonia, for the great suggestion. That's what this video is going to be about. How we can deal with the differing personalities, because there is no such thing as politics, within an organization successfully in such a way that we don't have to compromise our own. Hi, my name is Shawn Sommerkamp, and this is Motivationeer Christian Coaching. I post 2 videos a week, so please like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you can be reminded when I do. Please also consider becoming a member at Motivationeer.com. Your membership really supports this channel. Thank you. I think the absolute coolest story in the Bible to teach us how to deal with differing personalities in the workplace without compromising our own core values is the unique situation between Paul and Barnabas in Acts chapter 15, I think it is. Let me just check. Yep, Acts chapter 15. In this situation, Paul and Barnabas and others had already gone on the first missionary journey, which we call Paul's first missionary journey. Halfway through or some way through that missionary journey, we see that Mark, one of the traveling companions in that group, also known as John Mark, actually abandoned the mission and went back home to Jerusalem. Now, not a lot is mentioned about it at that time. But later, once we get to Acts 15, we see that Paul wanted to go on a second missionary journey, which was probably more of a let's build up the church and edify everywhere we've gone, instead of really a missionary journey. And he wanted to bring Barnabas along with him. Barnabas wanted to bring along Mark. Why? Because Mark was related to him. There's a passage, honestly, I forget where it is now, but it mentions that Barnabas is related to John Mark. Paul did not want to bring along John Mark again on this second missionary journey because Mark kind of bailed on them in the first. Barnabas was kind of insisting, no, we want to bring John Mark. Paul said, nope, we're not, and they kind of parted ways. This is what the verse says. It's Acts chapter 15, verses 36 through 41. I'm reading the New English translation here. After some days, Paul said to Barnabas, "Let's return and visit the brothers in every town where we proclaim the word of the Lord to see how they are doing." Barnabas wanted to bring John, called Mark, along with them too. But Paul insisted that they should not take along this one who had left them in Pamphylia and not accompany them in the work. They had a sharp disagreement, so that they parted company. Barnabas took along Mark and sailed away to Cyprus, but Paul chose Silas and set out, commended to the grace of the Lord by the brothers and sisters. So, we have here a wonderful example of 2 very righteous men, completely devoted to the mission of Christ, the Great Commission, that had a differing set of values. Both of them stood firm within their core values, even to the point where, hey, you know what, we probably should part ways. I think a lot of commentators take this too far when they talk about it being this really intense hatred or whatever. You can read lots of commentaries about this little segment that don't make much sense, in my opinion. They go too far with it. I think what happens is Barnabas had a set of core values, Paul had a set of core values, and those 2 sets collided. Maybe we see here that Barnabas had core values like family or loyalty or devotion and didn't want to just leave behind John Mark. He wanted to give John Mark a second chance, maybe to build John Mark up even. Maybe one of his core values was leadership development or something, where Paul had a differing set of core values. Maybe for him, his core value was integrity or trustworthiness or reliability. And looking at John Mark really graded against Paul's convictions. I don't want to bring John Mark. He doesn't kind of align with my core values. Barnabas says, I do want to bring John Mark. He kind of aligns to mine. So as a result of this disagreement, the 2 parted ways. Paul continued on the second missionary journey, but Barnabas, with John Mark, it says he went on to Cyprus. which means he continued the mission in a different direction. Continued in the faith, neither one of them obviously gave up what they were devoted to doing, but they went different directions. Now, this can be paralleled obviously very easily in our career. And I'll ask you, based on your core values, which one of these two did the right thing? Which one would you say was right if you just heard this story? Yeah, man, Mark didn't, hold to his original commitment in the first journey. Why would Paul bring him? Well, Barnabas is loyal and values family and wants to take him along. I think that's the right thing to do. Here's the beauty of it. Both of them are right. There isn't a wrong here. They decided, this is my set of core values, so to speak. This is my set of core values, so to speak. I'm not going to compromise on it because this is who I am and I believe very strongly in this. Now, we see later on, interestingly, in Timothy, 2 Timothy 4:11, Paul references Mark. He says, "Only Luke is with me. Take along Mark and bring him with you, for he is useful to me for service." So clearly this disagreement that Paul had about Mark ended up getting resolved. Maybe Mark matured. Maybe he demonstrated to Paul something that Paul said, hey, now I'm honoring my core values in a right way with Mark because Mark is more dependable. In Paul's letter to Philemon in verse 24, he mentions Mark again, as do Mark, Aristarchus, Demas, and Luke, my fellow workers. Paul refers to Mark, the guy that led to this parting of the ways between him and Barnabas, in Philemon 24. And then Peter references Mark in 1 Peter 5:13. She who is in Babylon, chosen together with you, sends you greetings, and so does my son Mark. Probably Mark matured. I don't know if what Mark did was a wrong thing. When Mark broke away from that first missionary journey, he was probably holding to his own set of core values. The moral of the story is, as we interact with fellow employees, a boss, a customer, a colleague, senior executives, employees that report to us, we're going to have a differing set of values. At some point, you may come to the situation where a very different decision needs to be met when your core values and someone else's collide. You get to choose at that point, hey, do I want to acquiesce? Do I want to meet them in the middle? You might not, depending upon what that core value is. It doesn't mean we have to declare them as an enemy. They're not being wrong, they're being them. Yep, there is a situation when we work with people who demonstrate real sin, greed, swindlers, idolaters. I'm going to talk about that in another video coming up, which hasn't been produced yet, but already shot, where we are called to be in the world, but not of the world. But let's pretend it's not a deep sin that we're being asked to engage in. It's just something that we don't believe is the right thing to do for us because we value something differently. In those situations, we can still be friends with them, connected with them, so to speak, but choose to go in a different direction. Maybe you leave and find another opportunity. I do think it is best to make it a very rare thing to leave to find another job when someone's core values collide with ours or their personality does. I believe that the best thing to do, for me anyways, might not be for you, is to learn how to work with them and adapt to their personality. Doesn't mean change who you are. That just means learn some techniques that really work well for them. I've talked about this a lot in other videos. Specifically, I wanted to mention some videos that I think you could watch and gain even more insight into this is Negativity Attracts Negativity. That's a really great one. Sometimes it's just what we're thinking and we're communicating in a very negative way and it elicits negativity from them. And it seems like a personality clash or a core values clash, but it's not. It's a negativity inside of us. Another one I did, Why We Get So Easily Offended. I think that one's going to really fit nicely here. And then lastly, Our Feelings Impact Our Success. Give those videos a go, watch them, and with this video and the How to Deal with Office Politics, and come to your own decision about how you want to address this person, personality, or situation. And when you do, commit it to the Lord. Just ask Him for wisdom, glorify His name in all that you do, and whatever you decide, keep on the mission field. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for 2 new videos each week. Tell me in the comments below about your career situation and I'll make a video for you with a shout out. You can also become a member at Motivationeer.com. Your career is not just a way to make a living, it's a way to transform the world.